What's up, guys? This is Shawne Lights Out Merriman, former NFL All-Pro, and you're watching the Jboy Show.
Welcome to the Jboy Show, hosted by Jake Crain, the fastest growing sports show in the nation.
I'm Coach Hugh Freeze.
This is Super Bowl champion Brandon Graham.
Hey, this is DJ Shockley, and you're watching.
And thanks for watching the Jboy Show.
Hello, everybody. As usual, everybody here, including myself, appreciate you joining us. Make sure you subscribe, whether it's Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever. We're going to keep the great content coming. Got another great guest today. You talk about going behind the mask, behind the scenes, and winning the water cooler. We got former Pro Bowler, All-Pro, a.k.a. Lights Out, Shawne Merriman joining us today. Really excited about that. But before we get to my monologue and then the interview, let's give a shout out to betonline.ag. Head over there today. The online casino is always open. We got Major League Baseball. All 400 games of that. Any sport that's going on, they're going to play the sharps. They're going to have the spreads out there early, whether it's parlays, single game props, team props, player props, however you get down, they've got everything there. And if you go sign up now, and I've said it, I'm going to keep saying it until they tell me I can't say it anymore. If you go sign up now, whether it's mobile, laptop, desktop, doesn't matter, you get a 50% signing up bonus. That is 50%. You need to go to betonline.ag now. If you're going to bet online, make it betonline.ag. I made that up totally by myself, too. That wasn't on the paper I'm supposed to read. So I would like to patent that right now in front of everyone, including BetOnline. Shout out Dave Mason. But my monologue today, I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. It's playing the linebacker position. I was fortunate enough, played a little bit myself. Father was an All-American linebacker. You know, one of the best, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm biased. His drill tape is still the best linebacker drill tape I think there is on the planet. I still get asked about getting it sent to people as of today. And there's a few things really I want to hit on. Number one is we have to separate, obviously, an in-the-box linebacker compared to a linebacker that's outside the box. If you want to consider the nickel a linebacker, people call it the slot corner. I hate that. Please don't call it the slot corner. It's the nickel. There's two corners. And you have a slot receiver. It's called the nickel. Let's go ahead and put that there. But when you're looking at the box, you have different ways that guys work. But a lot of it is about not wasting movement. No false steps. Some guys read through the triangle. Some guys are picking up on different keys. But the thing about playing linebacker, and there's a great saying, you know, you look and it's great to have all these, you know, linebackers running 4-3 and 4-4 and this, that, and the other. But there's an old saying, if you're playing Mike and you got to run 40 yards to catch somebody, you shouldn't be playing out there. That's not that position. And that's the truth. But when you're looking, a lot of guys are reading guards. That's what makes the triple option and all this stuff so difficult, because there's so many moving parts and you get so many false reads and so many muddy reads. And really, it's one-on-one. That's what it comes down to. But when you're looking at gap scheme, power, counter, trucks, whatever you want to call it, when you're getting pulls, obviously that is the thing that you are looking at in the run game. But you can't take false steps. All you linebackers out there, you can't guess. You've got to trust your eyes. You got to move fast to the ball. Don't overplay it, especially you Mikes. You got to make sure you're scraping, working the back hip and stuff like that. But what Mikes do along with making plays, along with, you know, reading run pass, is getting the call in there. Typically, your Mike is the captain of your defense. That's the quarterback of your defense. If you look where the quarterback stands and where the Mike stands, it's almost perpendicular, especially when they're in the shotgun. Now, some people play different depths at linebacker. I've seen guys, you know, play it at 3.5. I've seen guys play it, you know, heels at 5. It just depends. But what makes a great middle linebacker is a guy that not only is a good player, but he is the leader of your defense. He is the captain of your defense. He makes sure everybody on the front's lined up. You watch the great ones. That's what they do. They're communicating, even over-communicating. They're making checks. They're pointing out things. They're reading tendencies. They're doing things off the field. They're leading the defense. They're helping win sprints. They're cheering guys on in conditioning. That's what a linebacker is. It is a leader. He is a leader in the middle of that defense. Whether you're a downhill guy, whether you're a guy like Jboy McClain, who is downhill, but was a little undersized and made some plays backdooring some stuff you never want to do, and now he's at 220. But a lot more goes into it than just reading the guards and reading through the triangle. And we got a heck of a linebacker for you today, Mr. Shawne Merriman. Get ready to win the water cooler like you always do. Make sure you subscribe. Hey, let's get into this interview portion today. As you can tell, the lights are on, but we got a guy that's lights out for you. Former All-Pro, unbelievable linebacker, played at Maryland, doing a lot of big things now. Going to talk about the Lights Out Foundation. That's Mr. Shawne Merriman. Shawne, what's up, man?
What's going on, my man? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. I appreciate you taking some time, brother.
No, I appreciate you for having me on.
Definitely. Well, you know, where I want to start with it, Shawne, and I want to get into the foundation and actually want to talk a little MMA with you as well at the end. But then I start out talking about linebacker play. You know, our audience really enjoys, you know, kind of getting into the finer points of the game. And, in my monologue before you came on, I was talking about, playing the linebacker position, playing the inside linebacker position, being a box guy. What are a few things that you did? I talked about, no false steps, all that stuff, but from a reading standpoint, were you purely reading through the triangle, or what was your ways? What were your little kind of quick fixes to be able to diagnose and dissect and destroy?
Honestly, it was always playing downhill, right?
Yeah.
I think that's something you just said that was important, is no false steps, because even that split false step can get an offensive lineman, one of those guards, to get up on the linebackers quick. Mm-hmm. So if you're downhill and start to get to them before they get to you, then you can play off of them. The second part of it is leverage.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys that have great leverage, that are knee benders, they're very explosive. So they're able to explode into people without even trying this hard, because they just have good technique, really good knee bend and explosion. The third thing is you got to play sideline to sideline. Yeah. You have to play sideline to sideline. A lot of these guys, don't get me wrong, you have some great linebackers who were really good between the tackles. I'm thinking of Trotter, the bigger type of guys. Mm-hmm. But man, if you're sideline to sideline, you're just going to wreak havoc, because you're always going to be around the football. So those three things, man, if you're doing that, you're going to win.
Without a doubt. And I always say that the best friend of a linebacker is a damn good D-line. Can you just for a second talk about how important it is for the defensive line to be able to do what they do so they can keep them guys off of you? Not that you can't disengage or you're not going to get there and blow them up. But hell, man, as well as I do, it makes it a heck of a lot easier when you're able to guys get hands on guys.
I tell people all the time, I play with a guy by the name of Jamal Williams, and I don't know if my career would have been without him being there. He took up so much space. He required double teams at all time, and he compressed the pocket. That way, guys couldn't step up, but they had to, have the 7-step drop, and I can just go right around the tackle, man. So those D linemen are so damn important, even on the pass rush, man, to get that much attention and press guys up the field, making sure those guards and tackles stay on them so they can't come off maybe a one-on-one with a running back in the backfield, which we used to call big on little. So that's the win all day.
For sure. You'll take physics is physics, and it'll always be physics. But no, Shawne, and I want to ask you, then I want to get to, kind of what's going on right now in the landscape of football and what you're doing. But and you made a lot of tackles, and you made a lot of tackles look easy, but what was the guy for you that was the hardest to tackle, whether it was open space, whether it was being able to bring him down? Is there one guy, whether it's a running back, receiver, even a quarterback, that kind of stood out like, man, that guy's slippery?
Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger, man, because, it was just something about him. He's not, crazy athletic. He's not super strong. And I think you said something that was key. He's wiggly.
Yeah.
You have him by the waist and you think he's going down, before you know it, he's wiggling out of there and throwing 30 or 40 yards down the field. So we always, during the week of the game, we were playing the Steelers, we always emphasize that you have to finish the play, because if not, Big Ben will find a way to just wiggle himself out of the situation and still throw the ball down the field.
Yeah, and I don't think people, unless you've seen Ben Roethlisberger, realize how big Ben Roethlisberger. They call him Big Ben for a reason. I mean, he's not little. When him and Leftwich played each other, man, it looked like two tackles playing quarterback against each other. And what may be the greatest college bowl game I've seen in the last 30 years, and they had to carry Byron down the field. But, Shawne, something I find interesting, and I want your opinion on this in the NFL game to see if you've noticed this trend a little bit. But in college, obviously, with all these spread offenses, you see a lot of defenses going to 4-2-5. You see them trying to match. And we're actually seeing inside linebackers, get smaller as we're going on to try and match some of this stuff. Are you seeing that in the NFL a little bit, or is that something you think that may just be a college trend? Because, there's not spread offenses in the NFL, but I obviously have a lot more college teams, and people are a lot more, I guess, exotic with what they'll do offensively from a space standpoint.
Absolutely. And the reason why is because they're passing more. So what's happened back back when I was playing, they were run heavy, right? It was always 70-30 or 60-40. Now it's completely switched. Back when I was playing, it was, guys run the ball 30 or 40 plus times a game. That was, we're going to make you line up and beat us in the run game and stop the run first. Now they're passing 70% of the time. So you need these linebackers who don't need to come off the field, who can play all three downs, right? You get these big guys that are run stoppers first, second down, and then, you're changing up personnel by bringing in the smaller linebacker. Well, guess what? Now that smaller linebacker who can line up and sometimes playing the nickel, playing the slots, get their hand on slot wide receivers, tight ends, and run down the field, they're able to do more. I do think there's going to be a trend back in the coming up here soon, because you got a running backs like Henry, right, that are huge. And, now that people see that that's a part of football again, they're going to go out and start getting big running backs. So over the next, 3 to 5 years, I do expect to see it go back to this a little bit of run heavy, just because of running backs like Henry. The running backs are getting a lot bigger.
Yeah, and Shawne, football is cyclical. In 20 years, everybody's probably running the wing T again, man. You know how that goes, and it'll just keep the revolving door.
Yeah, don't bring that up, man, because as a pass rusher, that just had my head spinning.
Oh,
right?
no.
You can never, any kind of wing T options or anything like that, man. It just always have you as a pass rusher, just have you clueless. You don't know when to run a pass. You start to have to rely on, looking at the down and distance and how much time left in the game and which quarter is it. Are they down and score? You have to get technical when the wing T's and those option offenses come around.
It's the great equalizer. But Shawne, I got to ask you, man, for a second. Obviously, you had a great career. Tell everybody about the Lights Out Foundation and what you're doing with Lights Out. Because it's NASCAR, it's MMA, man. You're doing charity work. You're everywhere.
Yeah, so we have Lights Out Extreme Fighting here coming up August 7th at the Commerce Casino. So if anybody's in LA, Commerce Casino, be there. We're coming back strong. We just saw our first fight actually since the pandemic. We got shut down in March.
Shawne. Congrats,
and so we came back and we got a tremendous card, a tremendous fight. And we're going to announce here where everybody can see it soon, probably in the next 24 to 48 hours. It's going to be a really, really big deal. And we can't wait to get it out there. But Lights Out Extreme Fighting August 7th at the Commerce Casino. It's going to be big.
Have you guys announced the card yet? Is the card out for people to be able to see who's fighting
yet?
Yes.
If you want to see the card, go to lightsoutxf.com. Lightsoutxf.com. The whole card is up, and you can also purchase your tickets there. But we're going to sell out fast. We should be sold out by the end of either next week or Monday.
Man, it's going to be awesome. If I could get out to LA, man, I'd take my ass to the Commerce Center pretty quick. What, Shawne, obviously you played a physical sport, it's contact sport, whatever. What got you into MMA? Was it, just a sport that you fell in love with on the side? Is it something you kind of ease yourself into? What was kind of your inspiration to put this together?
Well, actually, a friend of mine, Jay Glazer at Fox Sports, I grew up boxing. So I came from the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. There's tons of champion boxers where I grew up. Even in my neighborhood, I had 2 family members who were uncles that were pro boxers. So I grew up in a boxing family, but MMA got introduced. Jay Glazer one day in 2005 said, "Hey, I think you should try out MMA. It'll help out with your hand-eye coordination and help you open your hips and get more flexible, turning the corner against those big offensive tackles." And I walked in the gym one day, actually Randy Couture's gym, where I'm currently right now at Extreme Couture. I walked in at Randy Couture's gym, not knowing that Randy was actually going to be there. And I looked over and I looked at Jay Glazer, I looked at Randy Couture, and I said, hopefully you don't think I'm sparring Randy Couture today. But you know what? I grew a love for the sport, and I've been around it now for 16 years. And that's why I'm able to get these former athletes from other sports to transition into MMA, because I think that all athletes, no matter what sport you play, should look at transitioning at some point, or just picking up some kind of a combat sport or discipline.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's fascinating. I watched, Dustin and Connor the other night, even though Connor snapped his stuff. But no, man, walking in the gym with Randy Couture, that's pretty good start there. And I know you guys got big things going. And also, you were involved in NASCAR as well a little bit. Talk about that, man. Like I said, you go from MMA to NASCAR to the NFL, man, and then FS1 doing obviously football analysis. I mean, it's everywhere. Give me the NASCAR angle. Yeah,
so in 2008, the Richard Petty experience, they asked me to come out and to the races in Fontana and be the Grand Marshal. Well, at that time, I only seen NASCAR on TV. I didn't know, being there in person was a different ball game. I walked out, they announced me on the intercom, and 50,000 people went crazy. And I've never been so nervous before in my life, waving the damn flag. And look, they were telling me not to drop it, and I almost did, because cars had started up. And I felt the energy and just the adrenaline, and I almost dropped the flag on the track. But after that, man, I hung around the track for 10 plus years. I got introduced to Jesse Awuji, who was one of 2 black drivers in NASCAR. I realized that there was kind of a void of something I can help out with there and help him, get some sponsorship, get some notoriety, because he's a hell of a person and a hell of a driver. And that's how I kind of got into the sport.
Man, that's interesting. It's amazing. You can play in front of 100,000 people, which I know you've done a ton in the biggest games ever, and this, that, and the other. And the flag at the NASCAR race, man, makes you anxious. That's just funny to think about.
Oh, it was insane. On TV, NASCAR don't look.
I've never been to one, Shawne. I've never been to one.
Oh, you know what? Once you go to one, you're done. That okay. You're hooked in. And actually, I advise you not to go, man, because you're going to be wanting to go to 10 to 15 tracks a year.
Yeah.
And it's a.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I said it's a very expensive sport, so just go as a fan.
Yeah, I will. I need to go do that. I've had a bunch of buddies that went. I've had buddies that have went and sat in the center of the race, and where I guess like the tailgating, and they're like, man, it is an absolute blast. And there's a ton of people there.
Yeah, the infields are crazy. The closer you are to get to the pits, the closer you are seeing the action. It's a whole different ball game, man. You got to get to a track. Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to do that, man. And speaking about tracks, man, I feel like Maryland, your alma mater, hiring Coach Mike Loxley, a good buddy of mine. I coached his son, Kai, who's also a good friend of mine. Just for a second, I look at Maryland, Shawne, and it just seems like it's a gold mine to me. I recruited the DMV. I know all the talent that's out there. What do you think about Mike Loxley and Maryland going forward? When they announced initially that he was coming back there, I think it gave the program a breath of fresh air. Mm-hmm. For one, Mike Loxley's from the area, so he has a different kind of connection, not just to Maryland, the school, but also the area. And I think it's so important with his connection there and his relationships with that area was important. So we already know that Mike Loxley's probably the best recruiter in the country, and I'm not saying that because he's at Maryland and I know him. He's the coach there. He was a coach when I was back there. I'm saying that because I think that most people and coaches, look at the Nick Sabans of the world, look at, or the Spurriers and everybody who he was with, and see what he did to those programs. And it was really because of Mike Loxley. What I'm hoping is that, he get an opportunity to bring all his guys there, all the recruitment, because I think they have one of the best recruiting class coming in this year, and they get that thing turned around because they've shown flashes that they can play with Ohio State. They can play with, the Big Ten, and they give a lot of these guys problems. So hopefully in the next year or two, that thing really turns around. But I'm excited to be and proud to be a Terp.
Yeah, and being the state school, with the facilities and all the things they have going, they have the resources there to win. Just getting the right guy in there, and I think Coach Loxley is, to quote the great film Wedding Crashers, crab cakes and football, man. That's what Maryland does. It's
DMV has the best talent in the country, or one of, I would say, top five. Yeah. If that DC, Maryland, Virginia, if they stay home, I'm trying to tell all these guys, stay home, and we'll compete with Texas, Georgia, California, doesn't matter. Florida, we can play with anybody if the guys from the area, they stay home.
Yeah, to me, I'm going to be honest with you, outside of the South and in the top five, I'd put the DMV up there with just about anybody. It's everywhere. You go all the way down. You look, guys like you, shoot, I recruited the area, and it was, you go to this school and they've got, got unbelievable looking high school guys that are ready to play in fast speed out there. That's what I see when I go out there is speed. But, Shawne, we're here with Shawne Merriman. You guys need to check out the Lights Out Foundation. I'm going to let him talk about the fights again that he's got going on. It's great stuff out at the Commerce Center there in LA. Going to let him drop and plug that again. But, Shawne, before I let you go, man, just a couple more questions for you. I want your thoughts on this expanded playoff in college that's going in 2023. Expanding it to 12. Just, as a guy that played at the level you did and experienced college, what do you think about that as a whole?
I love it. I love it. Now, I've been saying this for years, that they had to have a playoff system, and they keep expanding it. I understand how they started out, and the playoff situation. Test it out, see how it goes. But you have a lot of quality schools that don't get the opportunity, but just because of how things are set up, and that's unfair. So I'm glad that they implemented this system because the system wasn't made for certain teams to have an opportunity, and some of those teams who sneak into playoffs, who deserve to be there, are going to shock a lot of people. So I think it adds a level of excitement to college football.
Yeah, I mean, think about some of the matchups we're going to get. Now, me personally, I love the number at 8. I went through a whole dissertation on having an 18 playoff and doing the Power 5 and having your at-larges. And I'm not a huge fan of the buys, but I am all for, because to me, it helps parity in recruiting. To be able to say, hey, we made the playoff, therefore you're going to get the same film to show to NFL scouts at all these teams that go in these rooms and say, all right, well, the only way your son's getting this tape is if he comes here, one of these 4 or 5 places. So in that span, I think it may not be the quickest fix, but over time, I think it's going to increase parity. And I know I'm kind of random shooting from the hip here, Shawne, but I got to ask you, what do you think about this Urban Meyer experiment in Jacksonville with Tim Tebow, getting Trevor Lawrence? How do you think Urban Meyer's going to do in college? Because you look at Nick Saban, didn't work out well. You look at Steve Spurrier, didn't work out well. Just, your thoughts on having him go there, and do you think he'll have success?
I do. And, I've been talking to Urban Meyer about that for years. At actually Tim Tebow's charity event.
Really?
About 3 or 4 years ago. And I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know which team that he was going to come back and coach. We've talked about it over at dinner and lunch, and sometime when we were on the golf course. I knew he was going to come back, even though he didn't say it. You can always tell he had that itch. And when they announced he was going to Jacksonville, I thought that it couldn't be a better fit. Because for one, how much he's done right for that state and especially that area.
True.
Bringing Tim Tebow in, I think, is a smart play. He still has to make the team. I love Tim Tebow to death. I think he's one of the best guys that you can ever meet. He does, as we all know, does a lot for people away from the field. But at the end of the day, he still has to make the team. Now, if he earned his keep, then he earned it. Then people can't hate on that because he got an opportunity. All right, because that's all we can ask for. We can ask for the opportunity. He still has to go out there and earn his keep.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you can't hide out there. And to be honest with you, I thought it was a position he should have been playing the whole time in the NFL. So if he makes it, it's going to be interesting to see. But Shawne, man, fantastic stuff. I'm going to have to get you back on here. Tell everybody again where they can sign up to. I know you're going to make the announcement to watch it, where you can watch and stuff like this. But where can people get more information about the MMA stuff you got going on and everything you got going on, man? Because you're doing a hell of a job.
Thank you. August 7th at the Commerce Casino, Lights Out Extreme Fight. And you can get tickets at lightsoutxf.com. Check us out. We should be sold out sometime next week. So please get your tickets, show up there, be early. It's going to be an action-packed event. It's our first fight back coming out of this pandemic, and we're coming back strong. Yes, sir. Well, Shawne, I appreciate your time. I know our audience does, man. Congrats on all the success. Not a lot of guys are able to navigate when they get done playing, man, and you seem to be navigating like Christopher Columbus over there. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me. Definitely. We appreciate you guys as well. Subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Go to the JBoyShow.com. Get some merch. I got to send Shawne a cool one, a Jboy hoodie. Probably what you want, the gray one or the black one, Shawne? What you like better? You like the gray one? Give me the black, man. I'll sweat through the gray one. I'm a sweater. So, hey, there we go, man. There we go. The black one for sure. All right, I'll get your info. We'll shoot you one out there, brother. I appreciate it. Again, subscribe. Appreciate you guys. It's been another edition of the Jboy Show. And like Conor McGregor when he steps in the octagon, we're gone. The Jboy Show is produced by David Cohn, Technical Director Dave Hammock, Creative Director David Culbertson, Audio Engineer Feyzan Shareef, Production Assistants Blain, Crain, and Kyle Orr, Executive Producers Jake Crain, Vince Thompson, Steve Chamberlain, and David Cohn. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website, thejboyshow.com, for updates regarding our newest apparel and merch designs. Win the water cooler with the Jboy Show.